Hey techies, welcome back in SDET Tech IVP channel. So techies, in this tutorial we are going to discuss about some of the important interview questions which are really important for fresher, experienced and the advanced. Okay, and I hope you get better knowledge, better understanding about how you can answer in the interview. So let's start. But moving to next step, please like, share and subscribe this channel to get more amazing stuff about SDET role interview questions. So let's start. So the very first question is software. What is software testing? Software testing is a means to evaluate the software application, means to build a quality product. Okay, software testing is a process of evaluating a software application to verify it meets specified requirement and it is free from defect, and it ensure quality by identifying bugs, early reducing risk and improve the user satisfaction. This is called software testing. So whole means software testing is why we are performing software testing. We can perform software testing to build a quality product. Okay, the next question is differentiate between verification and validation. Mostly ask this question. This is exactly refers to the V model. Verification check if the product is built right. Process oriented approach. Verification means process oriented approach. Okay, example, review, walkthrough, inspection. Okay, review, walkthrough and inspection. Validate, ensure the right product is built. Example, functional and non-functional testing. Key difference: verification, are we building right? Validation, are we building right things? So this one is a basic difference between verification and the validation. Okay, next one, what are the principles of testing? So we have 7 principles of software testing. The first one is testing show presence of defect, not their absence. Means you can test it any level, but there should be a 1 or 2% their chances defect should be occur. Okay, exhaustive testing is impossible. All combination you can't be test. Okay, early testing save time and cost. Third, defect cluster is smaller under number of model 80-20 rules. Okay, means you have tested one of the application. Okay, and in this application there are some different part. Okay, but 80% bugs you are getting from part A. So this is called defect clustering, and most of the time in interview asked what do you mean by defect clustering? So defect clustering is a small number of models have the maximum number of the defect. Okay, suppose you got 100 bugs. Okay, in out of 100 bugs, 80 bugs you are getting from model A. So this is called 80-20 rules. Okay, pesticide paradox. Same test case stop identify for defining new bugs over the time. Pesticide paradox means you have to be update test case your every time. Older test case will not be cover your functionality. So every time you have to be update your test cases. Okay, testing is context dependent. Testing is context dependent means the testing for the, let's suppose you have a car. Okay, let me draw one car here. Okay, you have a car. This is car, and the same place you have a bus. Okay, you have a bus. Here you have a bus. Okay, so both are the four-wheeler, but can both have the testing process is same? Passenger capacity is same? No, never. So the testing is context dependent. Testing is context dependent means the testing for car is a different way, and testing for the bus we can do in the different way. So both have testing is context dependent. Absence of error policy. A defect free system can still fail user need. Defect free means you cannot sure anytime you cannot sure your software is defect free. You cannot sure you have tested 100%, but you cannot sure it's a defect free. So this is called absence of error policy, means a bug will be always present in your application. Okay, the next question is difference between quality assurance and quality control. And most of the time, very important interview question, most of the time interview ask this question, what do you mean by the QA and the QC? Okay, QA, process focused and proactive approach, aims to prevent defect by improving the process. Okay, and QC, product focused and reactive approach. It is a proactive approach and it is a reactive. QA is a proactive approach while QC is a reactive approach, aims to identify defect in the actual product inspection. Simple view, QA is a prevention oriented, QC is a defect orientation. Okay, the next question is what are the different level of testing? So testing have 4 level. Unit testing is done by the developer, usually done by the developer. Okay, and the integration testing, interaction between the integrated model. Suppose we have built a 2 model in our application. Okay, login, there is a login page and this one is an inbox. So we have integrate these one is called integration testing. System testing, you have to test both combined, and then acceptance testing. After complete testing, then you have to present your feature to the end customer, is called acceptance testing. Okay, end customer, if end customer is fine with all the functionality, then it is called acceptance testing. Validating by the user or the client is called acceptance testing. Okay, next one is the explain SDLC phase. SDLC have 6 phases. Requirement analysis, at the initial level we can gather requirement, then we can build design, then we can implement coding, we can do the coding. Okay, then we perform testing on this coding. Okay, then we perform deployment. Okay, and then we perform maintenance. So these phases are, and most of the time interview asks, what do you mean by the SDLC model? So SDLC model is a software development life cycle in which we have to develop the software. Okay, and it have 6 phases. This is called SDLC model. Next question is what is STLC model? STLC model is a refers to the STLC testing life cycle. How you can test. At the initial level we have to capture the requirement, what we have to test. Okay, then we have to be refers to the test plan, how we can test this. In this test plan we can define strategy, scope, resources, schedule, risk. Okay, and then test case development, then we can write the test cases. Okay, and we can prepare the test data, then we set up our environment, prepare, we need some we need some specific hardware, we need some specific software, and we need some specific test environment to test this application. Then we can perform the test execution. Okay, and then closure activity. Once all the things are done, then we have to perform the closure activity. Okay, what do you mean by test plan? And most important interview question, and out of 190 times this question is asked by the interviewer, what do you mean by the test plan? Did you get chance to build a test plan? Okay, a test plan is a document that describes test objective and scopes, test strategy and approach, resources, schedule and milestone, entry and exit criteria, risk and mitigation, deliverables and the responsibilities. So this is a test plan. Okay, 9th one, what is requirement traceability matrix? What do you mean by RTM? Important interview question. What do you mean by RTM? This question is asked by the fresher or as well as the middle levels. Okay, so RTM is a document that map requirement to the test cases. To ensure that every requirement has at least one test cases. Okay, no test case exists without requirement. Easy impact analysis when requirement changes. Okay, what are entry and exit criteria in testing? What is entry and exit criteria in testing? Entry criteria, conditions that must be met to start testing. Okay, that condition that must be met to the start testing when we have to restart testing. Okay, and exit criteria when we have to be stop our testing is called exit criteria. Okay, condition to stop testing. Okay, next one is what is manual testing? Simply, manual testing is a kind of a manual process where human interaction is required. Human tester without automation tools. Where human interaction is required is called manual testing. What is black box and white box testing? And most of the time, this is a really important interview question. Most of the time interview asks, these are the basically test case design technique. Okay, what is black box and white box testing? Black box, where we have internal, where we are aware about the internal. Knowledge. First come on the knowledge. Where we have no knowledge about the internal structure of the code. Where we didn't understand how internally these are working. is called black box. Okay, and once we have understanding how code is working, it is called white box. Okay, focus, functionality and behavior, code path, conditional loop. Okay, performed by the QA testers, sometimes users. Okay, developer or technically, this is called also unit testing and white box and glass box testing. This is also called glass box testing. Okay, for example, login functionality, UI workflow, unit testing, code coverage, branch testing coverage. Okay, so simply you can say that in the black box we didn't consider internal structure of code, but in the white box we consider internal structure of code. Okay, so this one is the basic difference between white box and the black box. Next question is common test case design technique. So common test case design techniques are equivalence, class partitioning, boundary value analysis, decision tables, state transition, and the use case testing. Equivalence, class partitioning, where we divided test in where we divide our input and input in the valid and invalid classes. Okay, let's suppose you have a login page. Okay, you have a login page, and the login page have a username and password and the one login button. Username, password and login button. In that case, what you can do, you have to be here, you can create thousands of test cases, but 1000 is not you can execute. So in that case, we can use a technique, we can use a equivalence class partition. We can divide our test cases in the partition. Okay, with the valid username and password, without username and password we have hit the login button, and with some invalid input. So we have divided our test cases in three classes, three partitions: partition A, partition B, partition C. In partition A, with valid, we have to pick some random valid, and then without, we have to be left blank all the field, and then hit on the login button, and after that we have to be put some invalid data. So we have divided task in three parts. Okay, if we talk about boundary value analysis where we have to be check our condition on the both hands. Okay, let's suppose you are filling a form. Okay, and this form is accepting minimum age is 18 and maximum age is 60. So in that case, how you can test? If you are going to test 18, 19, 20, 21, so on until 60, and after 62 you have to test 1000, after 60,000, and before that 18 to you have to start from 0, -1, then it will take more time. So in that case, what we can use a test case design technique. In test case design technique, what we can do, we have to use a formula -1 and +1 formula. If -1 is 17 and +1 is 19, and on the second edge -1 is 59 and +1 is 61. Okay, 17 is invalid, 19 is valid, 59 is valid, and 61 is invalid. So this one is called boundary value analysis. Okay, what is decision table? Decision table refers to the true false conditions. Okay, let's suppose you have a login page. Okay, you have a login page, and in this login page you have username, password, and the login button. Then how you can test this one? So in that case, you have to create combination: true, valid value. Okay, then true, false, valid username and password, valid username, invalid password. Okay, and then invalid username, valid password, invalid username, invalid password, and output is here. Then it should be login. It should not be login. False means it should not be login, because here username is false but password is true. Password is valid. Then it should not be false. And in the false, it will be false. Okay. Then state transition. State transition is a technique where we got the limited number of chances. Okay. Once suppose this one is a ATM machine. Okay. This one is ATM machine. In the ATM machine, you have to enter one time incorrect password. Okay. Incorrect password. Then you get one chance. Second time you have to again enter invalid credential. Then you get again third chance. But after third chance, you will be blocked for some specific time. But in the second, if you are enter valid username password, then you get the login. But still, if you are not enter correct username password in the second chance, then you get the third chance. But in the same thing you have to be done in the third chance, you will be blocked for some specific time, 24 hours, 30 hours. Okay, so this one is a basic example of the state transition, where you got some limited chances to perform some valid action. Okay, test valid and invalid state changes. Okay, use case testing, test scenario based on the user flow. So use case testing is a kind of a process where we have to build our test cases on the user requirement. It's called use case testing. Let's suppose this is a login page and we have to attach here a captcha code. So in this technique will not cover. In that case, we have to be use case technique, and in the use case technique we have to be combine our equivalence class partitioning and the decision table. This is called use case testing. Okay, the next question, what is test case? A test case is a set of condition or steps to validate specific requirement. Usually contains ID. This one is a format case. This one is a format ID, title, description, precondition, steps, test data, expected result, actual result, status, pass or fail, and the comment attachment. Okay, ID, unique ID. ID will be always unique. Precondition, previously how application is behaving. Okay, you have browser is already open, you have web page is already open. Then test steps, how you have to perform the step for the login page, what steps you have to be performed to login. Firstly, you have to be write I have launched the browser. Just give me a moment, techies. Yeah, sorry techies, there is some technical glitch. Okay, now so let's start. So the test case means test steps. Okay, what action you have to perform to execute this test case? Suppose you are testing a login page. Okay, so in that case, what you can do? In that case, you have to be what you have to do. Suppose you have a login page. This one is a login page. You have a login page. Okay, and in this login page, you have a login username, and one field is a password, username, and this one is your login button. So what test steps you have to be done here to test this page? So in that case, you have to be first launch browser, launch browser, navigate to XYZ URL, enter valid username and password. So these are the test steps. Okay, what are the test data? Test data is ABC, is a valid username, and password is XYZ. The SDET is a username, password is XYZ @123. So this one is a test data. Okay, what is expected and actual? Expected means it should be. Once you are entering valid username password, it should be login. And once you are entering invalid username password, it should not be login. Once you are get the login, then actual result as per the expected result. If you are not login with the invalid credential, then it will be again actual result. But after entering the invalid username password and you are get login, then the actual will be fail. Then your test case we got the fail. Okay, and in that case you have to attach comments and some attachment. Okay, you have to pass some comments. Okay, why this login and login page is accepting invalid username password and able to login with the invalid username password. Okay, so this one is an example. Let's see here. Test case is a login. This one is a unique ID, description, valid login with the correct credential, steps, open login page, enter valid username password and click on the login button. Expected user should be redirected to the dashboard. Okay, but after entering valid credential, user is not able to login, then it will be again fail. Okay, so this one is called test case. Okay, the next question is smoke versus sanity testing. Really important interview question. Most of the time we have to most of the time candidate get confused what is a smoke and sanity. Interview asks, can you let me know some test case design techniques? So in that case they convey, they tell smoke testing and sanity. So smoke testing and sanity testing is a different thing. Test case design technique is a different thing, or we already covered. Boundary value, sequence, partitioning, decision table, state transition, use case are the test case design technique. These are the testing types, kind of, okay. But basically these are not testing types, these are the sub part of the testing type, functional and non-functional, okay. Smoke is a quick high level test on the new build to check if major functionality is working and build is stable enough for the deeper testing. Sanity testing, narrow deep testing for specific functionality after minor changes or the bug fixes to ensure that work as expected or not, okay. So keep in mind these things, really important interview question, important, okay. What is retesting and regression testing? This is again the important interview question. Important. Retesting means re-execute test cases that failed earlier, that failed last time, are fixed. Focus on the specific bug fix, okay. Regression testing, re-execute previously past test cases that to ensure new changes haven't broken existing functionality. Broader is the security, broader in the scope. Good candidate is for the automation. So mostly regression is done in the automation, is the best possible way, because in the regression testing we have thousands of test cases, we can't do them manually. So in that case we have to use automation to execute our test cases, okay. Next question is, what is explain bug life cycle. Bug life cycle is once you have to raise any bug, is a new, assigned, open, fixed, retest, verified, close, and there is a one rejected state, deferred state, duplicate, not a bug, and reopen. Rejected once bug is not actually bug is not existing, okay, it is an invalid bug, okay. Deferred state bug is existing, but we have some limitation of the time limitation, we can't release in this phase, so we can release in the next phase is called deferred state. Duplicate if bug is already marked raised by someone else, not a bug, and the rejected are the most similar. This one is a not, this one is a bug, but this one is a not bug, it will be presented as a feature, this is called not bug. Reopen if once bug is not fixed, in the developer fixed something, developer fixed something, but bug is not fixed, is called, in that case QA engineer reopen this bug in the form of retesting. QA engineer perform the retesting and validate this bug is fixed or not. If fixed, then it will be marked as a closed, and if not fixed, then it will be marked as reopened, okay. So this one is a bug life cycle, and important interview question. Most of the time interview asks this question. The same cycle is happened in the Jira and the Atlassian and the Jira tool as well as in the Asana tool. There is a life cycle. What is the bug age? This one is again question most of the time interview asks. What do you mean by bug age? The bug age is this one, from new to closed. This one is a bug age, okay. What is severity and priority? Severity means impact your system, technical impact on your system, and business urgency. Priority means business urgency, okay, set by the QA, and this one is a priority set by the product owner and manager and the lead, okay. Example, app crash, high severity. Go for live, high priority, okay. A defect can high severity, low priority. Rare scenario, but low severity, high priority issue on home page. If you want to be separate video on this one, you can comment out so that I can create one more separate video on this one, because this one is a really important topic and important topic for a QA engineer, so that I can take some different examples so that you can get better understanding of how severity and priority will be work, okay. But moreover, you can say that in the interview, in the short term, you can say that severity is impacting your functional behavior, priority is impacting your business behavior, okay. Severity is set by the QA engineer, while priority is set by the product owner and the manager and the lead, okay. Severity, suppose your app is getting crashed, this one is a high severity, okay. But priority, how soon we have to go live, so this one is called priority, okay. Next question is, what is defect density? Defect density is a number of defect per unit per size of the software, okay. Example, per KLOC per function point, it helps to compare quality across model of the release, okay. Defect density is a number of defect per unit. In for suppose this one is a login. This one is a login page. This one is a login page. And this one is a sign up page. Okay, so most of the issues are occurred from the login page, and total issues you have to find out approx 100 test cases, and most of the issues are find out from the login page. Then this is what is defect density. This is unit size of the software. This is called defect density. Number of defect per unit size of the, how many defect will be we have found from the 80 found from the login page, but 20 we can found from the sign up page. Okay, important testing metrics. Okay, important testing metrics is test case execution progress, test plan, test case execution progress, plan ratio, how many test cases are failed, how many test cases are passed. Okay, number of it will be counted as, let's suppose you have 1000 test cases. Okay, you have 1000 test cases. Okay, let's suppose you have 1000 test cases. Out of 1000, 200 test cases get failed. So what is our ratio? So in that, this is called pass fail ratio. Okay, then defect density we already discussed here. Okay, defect leakage, a really important topic. We can also discuss about the defect leakage in the upcoming slide. Okay, defect rejection ratio. Out of 200 bugs, how many bugs are not valid and how many are rejected? How many issues are valid? Okay, and the next one is the defect removal efficacy. How soon these bugs are fixed? Okay, so this one is an important testing metrics. What is defect leakage? Defect leakage is a presentation of the percentage of a defect that escape from the current testing phase to late phase, like UAT to our production. High leakage means earlier testing was not effective. What is defect rejection ratio? Defect rejection ratio is the measure. This measures the percentage of defect reported by the tester that are late rejected. Okay, duplicate or working design. High rejection ratio usually indicates misunderstanding or the poor defect reporting. Okay, this is called defect rejection. Means you have to be shared a bug which is not exactly the bug or due to the misunderstanding. This is called defect rejection. In that case, developer rejects this bug. Okay, this one is not bug. This one is not actual flow. This one is actual flow. Okay. What is root cause analysis? Root cause analysis means why these issues happen, when these issues happen, where these issues happen. RCA is a structured approach to find the underlying cause of the defect or issue. MBS requirement, lack of unit test, environment problem. The goal is to prevent recurrence by improving process training tools or the communication. It's called RCA. RCA means when, where, why these issues happened. Okay. What is risk-based testing? Risk-based testing is prioritizing testing based on the risk, where risk, probability or fix failure into impact of the failure, probability of failure and impact of the failure. Okay, high risk area, payment security get more intense and the early testing. This is useful when time or resources are limited. So in that case, we have to be refers to the risk-based testing. Okay, explain equivalence partitioning with the example. Yeah, most of the time interview asks this question. Can you explain equivalence partitioning? We already discussed, but yeah, again you can. For example, you have an age input field. Expect 18 to 60. Okay, so in that case, we have to be age less than 80, between 18 to 60, and second one is greater than 60. So this one, 3 classes you have to be created. This is called equivalence partitioning. Okay. The next one is what is decision table. Decision table is we already discussed true false value. True false value. In the logging example we already discussed. True. Output will be true. Input, output. Okay. And then invalid input, valid input. Then output will be false. Then valid input, invalid password, output will be false. Then false, then false. This is called decision table. Okay, decision testing is used when there are multiple conditions with the different outcomes. Condition become column. Each row presents unique combination and expect condition. See, here is a unique combination. True, false. Okay. It ensures all combinations are covered systematically, especially for the complex business rule. Let's suppose there is on the login page. On the login page, there are three things. This one is a login page. Okay, this one is a login page. Login page, and there is a username. This one is a password, and this one is a captcha code. So how you can do this one? In that case, what you can do, you have to use a decision table. In the decision table, you have to firstly create a 3 column. One for the username, second one for the password, third one for the captcha. Then first you can enter true. Okay, then you enter true, false. Then you can enter true, false, true. Then you can enter false, true. Then false. Then the same combination you can perform. This is called decision table. Okay. What is pairwise testing? Pairwise testing is a combinatorial testing method where you design tests are easy every possible pairs for the input value is tested least once. Means you have to be tested with the at least one value. You have to perform your test execution at least with the one test case. Okay, it greatly reduces test count compared to the full combinations, but still find many interactions defect. Okay, so pairwise is not much helpful, but yeah, we can use. Next question: when should you automate tests? Automate when tests are run frequently in the regression test case. Okay, application functionality stable. Tests are repetitive and time consuming manually. High risk critical feature require repeated checks. Avoid automating once or highly volatile. Okay, so in that case we have to automate our test cases. Okay, next question is common automation framework: data driven, test data kept externally. Okay, keyword driven, action represents by the keyword click type. Hybrid driven, combination of keyword driven and data driven. POM page object model is a design pattern. BDD is a behavior driven. In this we can use a given. In this we can use a given when then conditions. Okay, username is given. Okay, when we click on the login button, then user should be login with the dashboard. Okay, so this one is a BDD. BDD is a behavior driven. Next question is what is page object model and what are the benefits? POM is a design pattern where each page of the application is screen of the application is modeled as a class with the web element and action benefit. Better maintainability and reusability. Single place to update locator. Cleaner and more readable test scripts. Reduce duplication. Okay, what is test engine? Why it is used? Test engine is a testing framework for the Java that provides. It have different annotation which really helps to automate your test cases and execute your test cases. Annotations like @test, @before suit, or there are multiple. Okay, @, before class, before method, before suit, after class, after method. All these are okay. For this one I was already created a separate video, so you can check out this video. I'll share this video link in this description, in the description box. You can go through this video so that you can better understand how TestNG will be work. Okay, so sorry. So TestNG is first thing is annotation. It allows us annotation. We have to be facilitated to execute our test cases. Then grouping and prioritizing test case, parallel execution you can perform. Data provider, also there is annotation. Okay, HTML report you can generate using the TestNG. Okay, next one is what is implicit weight versus explicit weight and versus fluent weight in Selenium. Implicit weight, global weight, WebDriver pulls for the for element for set time period before throwing exception. Okay, explicit weight is weight for specific condition, visibility, clickability and the given element. Okay, fluent weight similar to the explicit but allow custom polling, interval and exception ignoring. Okay, tech is, if you want video on this one you can comment out. so that I can create a separate video on the weight mechanism, because it is really important topic. Okay. Next one is, how do you handle dynamic element in the scenario? Really important topic, important interview question. Most of the time interview asks, and for this one I was already created a video how you can locate the element. So I can attach in the description box. You can check out this video. Okay. So in that case, what you can do, you can use robust locator like XPath, contains start with CSS attribute selector by ID name. So in that case we have to use XPath. Okay. Rely on the nearby stable element on the hierarchy, use index carefully, add explicitly, wait until element are visible and the clickable. Okay. What is a headless browser and why it is used in testing? Headless browser runs without a visible GUI. For example, Chrome headless. It is used for faster, resource efficient execution, particularly in CI/CD pipeline for server without display environment. Okay, so this is headless browser. Once we have to be without visibility, when we not required GUI to be executed. Mostly we have to be run these types of headless browser in the CI/CD pipelines. Okay. Challenges in automation. Challenge flaky test due to the timing or the environment issue, high maintenance due to the UI or requirement changes, poor design framework, lack of skilled people, proper planning, test data environment dependency. These are the basic challenges. So most of the time interviewer asks this question, what type of challenges you are faced once you are developing an automation framework? So you can simply say that first one is a flaky test, second one is a maintenance, third one is poor design, fourth one is a lack of similar people or a proper planning, and test data we have not get proper test data we will not get. So these are the basic challenges. How do you decide what test not to automate? One or rarely executed test cases are not automate. The test case which are rarely, the function or feature or test case which are rarely used, we cannot automate. Rapidly changing UI requirements, high subjective usability UX test cases. Okay, very complex flow that require human judgment. Okay, so in that case we do not automate our test cases where human judgment is more required, like in the color combination. Okay. How do you manage test data in automation? In the test data, to manage test data, there are lots of way we can manage test data. Use external data source like you can directly connect it with the database. You can use JSON. You can directly connect it with the database as well. You can use Excel file always. Implement data factory, generate random but valid data. Use separator. Okay. Clean up data during the tear down. Use unique identifier. Okay. The next one, what is API testing? API testing validates functionality, reliability, performance and security of the application. Poor programming interface without using the UI. It focuses on sending request and verifying response. Status code, header, body and the data. This is called API testing. In the API testing, this one is not a UI testing. This one is not a UI testing. It's a purely on the application security level testing. Programming interface. Application means application program interface. Okay. It is not a UI based testing. Okay. Here we have to just sending a request and validate the we are getting a correct data or not, and we are getting the correct status or not. Okay. What are the common tool for the API testing? The common tool is most common is a Postman, Rest Assured, SoapUI, Insomnia, C-curl, Thunder, Client. Okay. But in general way we can use Postman and Swagger. Swagger is one more tool. Okay. So Swagger is also used for the documentation. Perspective. Swagger is also used for the documentation perspective. Common HTTP methods: get, put, post, patch, delete, header option. Okay. Get, retrieve data. Post, create new data. Put, update and replace existing data. Patch, partial update. Delete resources. Header option, metadata and support operation. And most of the time interview asks this question: what do you mean by the post, put and patch? So post is used for the creation, put is used for the update, and patch is used for the partial update. Okay, so this one is a really important interview question. The next question is common HTTP status code. What are the common HTTP status code are the 200 success, okay, 201, 204 success or body. 400 series refers to bad request. Okay, 401 is unauthorized. 403 is forbidden. 404 is a resource missing. 500 is internal server. Other one is 100 series is also for the informational. 300 series is redirectional. 500 is server side error. 200 is success, 400 is bad request, means client have done some bad request. On some bad request, some bad request is sent by the client, then you are getting the 400. Okay, what is idempotency in the rest and why it is important? An operation is idempotent if multiple identical requests produce the same result as a single request. Get, put, post, delete for testing calling these multiple times should not be cause additional side effect like duplicate entries. So, suppose get is you are getting the same thing from the get, you are doing the same thing from the put, you are getting from the delete. So this is called idempotency. Okay, the operation is idempotent is a multiple identical request produce same result. You have to throw multiple requests, but you are getting the same result. This is called idempotency. Okay, the next one is how do you test API authentication and authorization? So to test the API, both are thing are different. Like is authentication is a different thing, authorization is a different thing. Authentication to test valid versus invalid token, credential, check access or different role, admin, user or guest, verify error code or unauthorized forbidden cases, validate token expiry and the refresh logic, attempt access without credential. Okay, what is contract testing microservices? Contract testing verifies the services produced and their consumer flow, agreed request response structure and the rules. It helps detect breaking changes early and reduce a reliance on the large end-to-end test cases. This is called contract based testing. Okay, the next one, type of performance testing: load testing, stress testing, endurance testing, spike testing and the scalability testing. Load testing, test under expected load. Okay, if you want to be separate video on the load testing or on the performance testing, you can comment out so that I can create a separate tutorial on the JMeter for this one. So where we can do load testing, stress testing, endurance testing, spike testing, how these all work and how you can read the chart, how you can read the report. So all things I can cover in this video. So but you can comment, you can do a comment in the comment section and post your thoughts. What do you feel, what do you think about the performance testing, why it is important, where it is important, when it is important. Okay, common performance testing tool are the Apache, JMeter, on the JMeter, Load Runner, Gelting, Loctus and the Neoload, but most properly we have used JMeter. So you can comment out and I will create a separate tutorial on the JMeter, okay, for you. Your like and subscribe is really motivate me. Please like, share and subscribe this channel and get more amazing stuff about SDET role interview question. So the next question is important performance metric: response time, throughputs, error rate, CPU memory, number of concurrent users and the transaction rate. All things we can learn in the JMeter once you have to be post the comment. Okay, all things I will discuss you in the separate video. What is the difference between load and stress? This is a common question. Most of the time to ask. What is load testing and what is stress testing? Load testing checks how the system perform under expected normal load. Okay, and stress testing push the system beyond its capacity to see and how when fail it, how it will be recover. Okay, this one is a basic difference between load and the stress testing. What are some common application vulnerability? The vulnerability is SQL injection, cross-site scripting, cross-site request forgery, broken authentication, insecure direct reference, security misconfiguration. If you want to one more separate video on the web application vulnerability, how we can put the SQL injection, how we can do the cross-site scripting, please comment out and put your thought. Okay, so this will really motivate me so that I can create a separate tutorial for this one, how you can validate the vulnerability in a web application or the mobile application or in the API, how you can put the SQL injection, how you can put the cross-site scripting, how you can do the CSRF, and how you can verify the broken authentication, how you can use the security misconfiguration, how you can validate security misconfiguration. Okay, so all things we will cover in this video. Okay, the next question is common tool for security testing: Brubsuit, OSWAP, Zap, Nexus, Acunix, Metasploit. Brubsuit is a commonly used tool. Okay, Once we have to be done some security based testing, we can use the SQL injection. But first you can comment out, so that I can create separate video on the Brub suite how you can validate the SQL injection on the login page on the XYZ item, okay, on the input field, how you can perform SQL injections. Okay, so these are the commonly used tool in the market: Brub suite, OZAP, and the Nexus, Acuntex, Metasploit. These are the common tool. Okay, what is SQL injections? SQL injections occur: attacker inject malicious SQL query into input field, maintaining database. Testing is include trying to pattern like this one. User inject this one in the login username and password, and also there is some submit button, and there is some input field. So user try to enter these types of the injection to ensure input is valid and the query are parameterized. Okay, this is called SQL injection. How does testing work in the Agile? Testing help. This one is a really important question. Important. Most of the time into us, how your testing work in the Agile model. So testing happens in the each sprint, not a separate phase. Tester collaborate closely with the developer behind the PO. PO means product owner, BA means business analyst. Okay, user story have clear acceptance criteria. Automation is integrated into a sprint and CI pipelines. Okay, more emphasis on the exploratory testing. So in that way we have to be align our testing activity in the Agile model. What is BDD? BDD is a behavior driven development and focus on the expected behavior of the system using the common language understood by the business and the technical team. It is used called Gherkin language, given when then. This tool like Cucumber, SpecFlow or the Behave. Okay. Explain test automation pyramid. This is really important question for the advanced level. Important. What is the test pyramid? What is the test pyramid? So test pyramid is a base many unit test cases, then middle is fewer integration service, and then top is the least number of the UI. E2E, end to end. E2E means end to end test. Slow, expensive. Goal: maximize fast, reliable test and minimize slow for the flaky test. Okay, how does testing fit in the CI/CD? Test run automatically on each commit, merge, API, unit testing, API selected UI test cases. Pipeline fails if test fails. Automated smoke test run after deployment the testing. Tester design and maintain suits that given fast feedback. The next question: what is shift left and right shift testing? Really important question. Most of the time in the trending market, in the current market, this question is most of the time interview ask this question. What is shift left testing and what is right shift testing? Shift left testing move testing early in the SDLC, unit test, static analysis and early QA environment. And if you talk about the shift right testing, then testing and monitoring in the production or the production like environment, A/B testing, canary release, chows engineering and the observability. Okay, what are the key challenges in the mobile application testing? So OS fragmentation first, second one is the network, third one is a different screen resolution, because in the mobile there is a various factor about the various screen size. Some is a 18 inch, some is a 5 inch, some is a XY inch, some is a different inch, because there is a variation. Okay, in the mobile devices. Okay, battery and performance constraint, multi-touch, gesture, screen sensor. So these are the basic challenges in the mobile application testing. What is the compatibility testing? Compatibility testing to ensure that the application behave correctly across different environment, browser, OS devices and the hardware configuration. Okay, what do you check in the database testing? So in the database testing we have to check correctness of data, data integrity, constraint, indexes and trigger, stored procedure and the functions, transaction and the rollback behavior, and performance and the critical queries. Okay, the next question is, how do you test data migration between system? So to test the data migration between system, we have to compare record counts pre-post migration. Okay, valid a sample and critical record field by field. Okay, just give me a moment. Field by field. Okay, just give me a moment. Compare record field by field. Okay, validate. Okay, check data type, format and the encoding. Verify constraint, indexes and the relationship after migration. Run functional test on the migrate system, catch hidden issues. Okay, Tagish. So you have to be simply answer. We have to be do the some in the database testing. We have to compare the records are correct, validate the sample and the critical checks, data type and the verify constraint and the run function. Okay. The next one is write sample test case for the login functionality. Most of the time interview asked, and this one is for the fresher. Can you write some sample test cases for the login? In that case, you have to be valid username plus valid password. Then user got login successfully. Means decision table you can use. Means a decision table you can use. Valid username, password. Okay. Valid username, valid password. Okay. Then valid username, invalid password. Okay. Then invalid username and valid password, then invalid username, invalid password. Okay. And then empty field validation, SQL injection, account logged after a number of attempt, means state transition. Okay. Check remember me behavior, session timeout. This will really helps you to crack the interview. If someone asks you, you can write the test case for the login functionality. Okay. Next one, how do you handle flaky test? To handle the flaky test, identify root cause. Okay, RCA we have already discussed about the RCA. Okay, so timing, environment, dependency, what, where, when, and why. We already discussed about what is RCA. Okay, so replace thread sleep and explicit wait. Okay, stabilize locator and remove bilateral dependency. Ensure test isolation, no shared state. Improve environment stability and the configuration. Implement retry logic carefully. Okay. A critical bug is found just before release. What do you do? Important interview question. This is important, really important interview question. Most of the time interview asks, what do you do once you got the bug at the release time? So in that case, analyze severity and the business impact, severity and priority. Discuss point with the stakeholder. If fix is required, prioritize fix, perform focus regression. Okay. Document risk and decision in the release notes. If differing, ensure workaround is known as the risk expected. So these are, in that way you have to be answer, simple answer. Okay. But here you have to be ensure the severity and priority as well. Okay. What is severity of this bug and what is the priority of this bug, and you can communicate this one with the stakeholders, and also prioritize fix is performed in the regression testing or not, and document the risk and discussion. Okay. Everything you have to be ensure. Okay, the next question is requirement are incomplete or frequently changed. How do you test? Okay, so interviewers ask this question generally in the general way to check your knowledge, how you are engaged with the testing activity. So engage closely with the BA and the PO. BA means business analyst and the PO means product owner and developer for the clarification. Okay, use exploratory and session based testing. Document assumption explicitly. Prioritize testing core high risk functionality first. Keep test case flexible and the update often. Okay, then you reported a bug but developer say work as designed, but next, what next? What you can do, you can recheck the requirement or the user story. Okay, provide clear reproduction steps to at the end evidence. Involve BA and PO for the clarity expected behavior, and then if behavior is correct but confusing, suggest UX enhancement. Okay, so this one, in that way you can answer this question. These are the behavioral question, and really important question. You can note down, guys. Like, you can note down these questions. Pause this video and note down these questions because it's really important. Most of the time 100 out of 80 times this question will be asked by the interviewer. Okay, if you given 100 interview, in 100 out of 100 interview, 20 interviewer will ask this question to check your behavior with the regarding of the testing, how you are involved in the testing activity. Okay, how do you measure your effectiveness as a tester? So defect detection and the leakage rate, quality and the clarity of the defect report, coverage of the high risk area, reproduction of production issue over time, contribution to automation and the process improvement, feedback from the team and the stakeholders. Okay, how do you prioritize test cases as fresher? As a fresher, first on the critical business flow first, test frequently. Okay, cover high risk area, payment security like. Okay, consider complexity and dependency. Next question, what is the test scenario? How it is different from the test cases? This one is a really important question, and most of the time can you get confused. I was also asked this type of question. So can you get confused, what do you mean by a test scenario and what do you mean by test cases? So test scenario is a high level description of the test to what to test, usually representing end-to-end business flow. For example, verify user can place an order successfully. A test case is detailed set of the steps with the input, precondition, expected result, post condition to validate part of the test scenario. One least scenario can be break down in multiple test cases. Means one test scenario have multiple test cases. Got it? Okay. What is exploratory testing? When do you use it? Exploratory testing is a simultaneous process for learning, test design and test execution, where tester explore the system without predefined test cases but with clear character or goal, with a chart or goal. Or it is especially useful when documentation is poor, requirements are changing frequently, or when you want to be quickly discover critical issue. Tester rely heavily on the domain knowledge, intuition and the clarity. In that case we have to be work as a exploratory testing. Exploratory testing means, in simple word, you can say that once requirements are frequently getting changed and you have not enough time to build more robust test cases, or build is going to be live by this end of the day. So in that case we have to perform the exploratory testing. Okay. The next question, what is ad hoc testing? How it is different from the exploratory testing? So ad hoc testing is informal, unstructured testing without documentation or planning, usually done with intent of the breaking the system using random input action, while exploratory testing is purposeful and the often charter based. Okay. Ad hoc is informal, unstructured, you can start from anywhere, but exploratory is from the beginning to end. Okay, this one is the basic difference between the ad hoc and the exploratory testing. Ad hoc testing typically has no specific objective or tracking. Exploratory testing has the objective repetitive report, and the ad hoc tester is not to be reproduced. Okay. How do you design a test automation architecture for a web page? How do you design a test automation architecture for a framework? So in that case, how you can answer this one is a really important interview question. Important interview question. Most of the time interview asks this question. So in that case, what you can use POM, page object model, for the modeling, implement base class. Okay. Setup, tear down, driver management, separate layer or test data utilities locator and the business logics, use testng or JUnit for the orchestration, integrate CI/CD pipeline like Jenkins, GitHub and the actions. Okay. Generate reports, Allure and you can generate reports through the testng or the Allure or the extent report, you can use anything. So in this way you can design the architecture of your automation framework. But most of the candidate, how the candidate answer, they are start writing SRC in the SRC folder. In this I will create a login class, in this I will create a logout class, in this I will create a XYZ class. No, this is absolutely wrong. You can just simple answer this one. We are using a POM model, implement base class, then separate the layer of the test data, and layer is we have basically 3 layers. Okay. One is a utility layer where we kept all the test data, the item which are not most required, like Excel sheet, screenshot, we have to capture in the utility. In the second one is the page object repository in the locator, and third one is the business logic, how business will be work. So we have basically 3 layers. And we can use testng for the orchestration and the integration for the CI/CD pipeline and generate report through the Allure and the extent report. This one is a simple answer. Not this one is a simple answer. You have to be right. Most of the candidates start writing SRC folder. Okay, in the SRC folder I will write launch browser. In the SRC test I will write the test cases. I can use find element XYZ item. Don't know why candidate gives this type of stupid answer. This one is a simple answer. Okay. You can note down this answer. Pause this video and note down this answer. This is really important interview question. Okay. What is shift left testing in a practical? Already we discussed about the shift left and the right shift, but practically QA involved requirement analysis and design review. Developer write unit test and the static analysis, early test environment for the integration testing, automation and the API testing, development the code. Okay, how do you handle production issue from a QA perspective? Suppose there is an issue in the production environment, so how as a QA, what are your roles and responsibility? So in that case, what you can do, you can collaborate to reproduce issue with the test environment, the stage environment as well. Analyze logs, metrics and the user steps, identify root cause, RCA. Already I was told you, we have discussed about the RCA, how you can do the RCA. RCA means what, when, where, why. Okay, verify in the lower environment than in the production, like smoke test. Okay, participate in the RC meeting and the suggest prevention action. Okay, the next one, what is usability testing? Usability testing is the equivalent to easy, intuitive and the pleasant. Okay, easy, intuitive and the pleasant. And application is end user, tester and tester observe, easy navigation, clarity of label message, consistency of design, time taken to complete task, error prevention and recovery, goal to ensure user experience, not just correct function. Got it? Usability testing, how much you can easily use this application is called usability. Okay, how easily you can navigate from one page to another page, how these labels are these labels are meaningful. So let's suppose there is a login button. Is there login is written over this button or not, so that user can understand, okay, I have to click on this button, then I get login. Okay, relative error message, if user is enter invalid username password, then error should be relevant. Your username and password is incorrect, please try again. Not like this one, your username is incorrect, password is correct, please enter valid username. This one is not correct, username and password is not correct, please try to log in with the different user credential. This one is a correct way. Okay, this is called usability testing. What is compatibility testing? Compatibility testing we already discussed in the previous slide. So compatibility testing is ensure application work correctly across different environment. Okay, browser, operating system, device, different versions. Okay, Java, .NET, database API. It is critical for the web mobile application used by the diverse users. Okay, what are the main challenges in the test automation? The main challenge in the test automation is frequently changing the UI requirement, flaky tests, poor design framework, lack of skilled automation engineer, poor test data management, slow execution or the heavy UI reliance, proper architecture, stable locator. Okay. The next question is, how do you validate JSON response in the API? So to validate the JSON response, we can use the status code. We can check the status code like 200 or 201, JSON schema validation, field values, nested object and the array, error message or the for invalid input, response time and the header. So these things we have to check in the JSON. But most other candidate gives the answer like we can check the status code. No, not about the status code. You have to check all the things like JSON schema validation, field validation, nested object and the error message, response time. What is the response time of this one? What is what you are getting in the header? What you are passing in the header? What are content type and what is the cache control? Okay, all things you have to be considering the JSON response. Got it? The key checks in database testing for the transaction system. So in that case, you have to simply answer data correctly inserted, updated and deleted, transaction obeyed, ACID, atomicity, consistency, isolation, durability, rollback, work on the failure, how soon rollback will be happen if something is broken. Okay, referral integrity, no orphan or duplicate record, trigger and stored procedure behave as expected, index used appropriately or for performance critical queries. Okay, what is risk-based testing and when it is critical? Risk-based testing is a prioritizing what to test and how much to test. Okay, based on the risk, where risk is usually combination of portability of the failure, impact of the failure, high risk area. We already discussed about the RCA and the risk-based testing. Okay, get deeper and the earlier testing while lower risk area and get minimal coverage. This is essential when time and resources are limited. Got it? The last question but not least, in upcoming tutorial we can also create some amazing stuff for the SDET role. So please like, share and subscribe this channel so you are getting updated video to crack your interview and practice for better practice. So the last question is, best practice for the tester in the interview and the career growth. So for the best practice, what you can do, know the fundamental deeply, concept not just buzzword, learn continuously. For continuously learning, you can subscribe my channel. It's not my, it's your channel. Okay, it's not my, it's your channel. You can subscribe this channel, okay, and like this video, so you get notification once I am uploading new video. Then you will get the notification. Okay, communication effectively, think strategically, automate easily, automate wisely, collaborate actively, document thoroughly, and stay adaptive. Embrace agile develop model. This one is a really important thing. You have to be a good QA engineer. Okay, so I hope guys, techies, you enjoy this video and get the much knowledge. Please like, share and subscribe this channel to get more amazing stuff about SDET role interview question. Goodbye, have a nice day.